We learned during COVID that a lack of childcare has a cascading effect on our lives and on the economy. When parents have nowhere to take their kids for the day, they simply can't go to work. That means jobs go unfilled, productivity drops at companies, business suffers, and families lose much needed income. This wasn't just a COVID thing, though. Childcare is still scarce. North Country residents are pessimistic about it, and it's restricting their working opportunities. That's today's story of the day.
Support for Story of the Day comes from Long Run Wealth, an SEC-registered investment advisor in Lake Placid, providing comprehensive wealth management, retirement, and financial planning solutions. LongRunWealth.com. And the Devlin Inn and Suites, Lake Placid, welcoming families, athletes, and groups to the Olympic Village, offering Adirondack mountain views and dog-friendly accommodations. TheDevlinNY.com.
Hey, I'm David Sommerstein. It's Wednesday, August 26th. First up, President Donald Trump floated the idea on social media yesterday of renaming Lake Ontario amidst his escalating trade war with Canada. Trump says he's considering the new moniker Lake America. That's because he says the U.S. will no longer be doing much trading with Ontario, the Canadian province. Daniel McFarland is one of the top scholars who's studied Lake Ontario, including the history of politics and friction over the border waters.
It doesn't even make logical sense. I mean, the Canadian side of Lake Ontario just dwarfs the New York side in terms of population. That's the Canadian heartland. That's the most populated area of Canada. So, I mean, Lake Ontario, I would argue, is much more important to Canada and Ontario than it is to the United States.
Geographically, more than half of Lake Ontario is in Canada. It was named by Indigenous people well before European settlers arrived and the province came into being. 15 county sheriffs, including 4 in the North Country, are suing New York State over a new law that prohibits local police from having formal agreements with U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, known as ICE. According to the Albany Times-Union, the sheriffs of St. Lawrence, Jefferson, Lewis, and Franklin counties are among those who claim the law and others like it are a constitutional overreach. The sheriffs also say they cause imminent and irreparable harm. The lawsuit seeks to block enforcement of 4 sections of the new law. They limit the ability of federal immigration agents to work with local and state police agencies. Governor Kathy Hochul said yesterday that any police department or sheriff's office that disobeys the law will face legal action. She told those suing the state to, quote, bring it on. Hochul says New Yorkers shouldn't worry about voting by mail this year, even as the Trump administration moves to restrict it. As Samuel King with the New York Public News Network reports, the state is reviewing its legal options after a Supreme Court ruling on Monday.
The High Court ruled that federal officials can move forward with implementing an executive order that calls for states to submit voter lists to the U.S. Postal Service, among other changes. New York was among the states that sued to block the order. Governor Kathy Hochul called the administration's actions, quote, appalling.
And I encourage New Yorkers to ignore all the crap that's coming out of Washington questioning the validity of our elections.
Former New York City Board of Elections President J.C. Polanco says the Supreme Court did not rule on the legality of Trump's order, so there will likely be more court battles ahead, but it's already causing confusion.
I fear of what can happen with voter turnout if there's more confusion among the electorate.
Absentee ballot materials in New York can be mailed out as early as next month, 46 days ahead of Election Day. In Albany, I'm Samuel King for the New York Public News Network.
The New York State Fair opened today in Syracuse with its focus on showcasing the agricultural industry. Fair director Julie Lefebvre says they've added new attractions in the ag building this year.
Come in and learn about the meat goats, the dairy goats. We are paying tribute to America 250 with our sand sculpture, the butter sculpture. Our drone show we've increased from 1 day to 2 days, and that's fully in motion. It's not just static symbols.
Lefebvre says she's anticipating traffic delays along Interstate 690 as fairgoers arrive. The All-American Rejects will perform tonight as part of the fair's free concert series. Across the highway, Pitbull will perform a paid concert at the Lakeview Amphitheater. The State Fair runs through Labor Day. It's widely known that the North Country needs more childcare. Most of the region is classified as a childcare desert, where families' need exceeds what's available at centers and home daycares. A new study from Jefferson Community College paints a picture of what that means for folks in the North Country. It says thousands have had to leave their jobs to stay at home with their own children or take care of other folks' kids. Kara Chapman reports.
Back in 2015, JCC's Center for Community Studies started asking folks in the North Country about how satisfied they were with the availability of childcare. Center Director Joel Lalone says the results were staggering.
What we've seen in the last 10 years is an irrefutable, consistent, almost at times unbelievable, where we say it can't get any lower, drop in satisfaction of availability of childcare.
Over the last decade, the number of adults surveyed who rated childcare availability as excellent or good has declined from about half to just 14%. Additionally, a statewide survey last year found that folks in Jefferson, Lewis, St. Lawrence, and Oswego counties had a higher level of dissatisfaction with childcare availability than anywhere else in the state. So this spring, the center staff decided to do a deeper investigation. They collaborated with local childcare experts to take a look at the needs and challenges North Country residents are experiencing. Lalone says a couple of stats stood out to him. One was the need for childcare at non-traditional hours. For example, more than half of the parents surveyed said they needed summer coverage, and
1 out of every 8 among the adults who have a child age 12 or under in their household said, yes, I am interested in overnight childcare. It's like, wow, that was a larger portion than I expected.
Another big data point that emerged was the impact on the local workforce. More than 20% of the parents surveyed said they or their partners had to leave the workforce or decline a job over the last 2 years due to a lack of childcare. 2% of all survey respondents said they or their partners had to do so in order to provide childcare to a family member or close friend. Lalone says that translates to thousands of people in the 4-county region.
If you add those two together, that's approximately 13,000 people who could be working that, due to lack of availability of childcare, are not working at this point in time.
That's about 4.5% of adults in Jefferson, Lewis, St. Lawrence, and Oswego counties. Childcare experts in the region say the study's findings affirm what they've been saying for years. Bruce Stewart has been with the St. Lawrence County Child Care Council for more than 3 decades.
Childcare is infrastructure. It's no longer a family issue or I hate to say it this way, a woman's issue, as it was viewed in many years in the past.
Corey Lesher is with the Child Care Resource Center in Jefferson County. She says the COVID pandemic, when schools and daycares were closed, brought the importance of childcare to the forefront. Lesher says the JCC study helps keep it there, even as we move past those more challenging times.
You know, there are still people who are looking for childcare who can't find it. There are still people not able to work because they don't have childcare. You know, there are still businesses that can't hire staff. And would they be able to hire more staff if more people could work because they had childcare?
Stewart says that in rural areas, it can be more effective, quicker, and less expensive to expand the number of home-based childcare providers than to stand up a larger center. But since the late 90s and early 2000s, the number of home-based providers in St. Lawrence County has actually declined by half. The top reasons are because they moved or took jobs that provide benefits. Stewart says having real numbers, like from the JCC survey, helps make the case to elected officials for initiatives that support higher pay and benefits for childcare workers. It also demonstrates the need for a childcare workforce pipeline, similar to those created for commercial drivers.
When there's a shortage of that, they step forward and produce funding and create a pipeline to help fill that need. So we're in the same boat here with the early childhood work because there's a desperate need for a pipeline.
Staff from JCC's Center for Community Studies plan to present their findings to government and workforce officials in each of the 4 counties. They say from there, it's up to lawmakers and childcare advocates to take that data and use it to create solutions. Kara Chapman, North Country Public Radio.
We have more news all the time on our website, ncpr.org. Music today by B. Children of Canton and Caitlin Scholl of Lake Placid. I'm David Summerstein, North Country Public Radio.